What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and welcome back to the 32-team 7-round mock draft series, where today we're going to be taking a look at the team that holds the 29th pick in the first round of the NFL draft, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that is probably upset about the NFL overtime rules with their defeat against the New England Patriots, but a lot to be excited about with the Chiefs. Got goddamn MVP on your roster and Patrick Mahomes, and yes, the loss of Tyreek Hill potentially for some suspense. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Tyreek Hill, but there's a question mark over Tyreek Hill. You don't have Kareem Hunt right now. There, maybe there's a little bit of cause of concern. I mean, you also look on the defense. No more Justin Houston. No more Eric Berry. For a team that was as promising as they were last year, maybe there's a little too many questions than answers as they enter the 2019-2020 season than many people in the fan base would be accepting of right now. So to kind of mitigate that, we need to have a strong draft. We need to have a strong mock draft for today's video. So without further ado, jumping into pick 29, I'm selecting DeAndre Baker, cornerback from Georgia. He is a corner that had a better combine expected because speed was maybe the red flag on his scouting report, and he ran a 4.52, which is more than good enough for a corner of his size. 5'11", 195 pounds, loves to tackle. He's a high-level man cover cornerback. Kansas City absolutely needs to get better in their secondary. They did bring in Honey Badger, which is all right, but in the cornerbacks, I mean, Kendall Fuller, he's a solid corner, but then they brought in Brashad Breeland to be the assumed starter right now. Not good enough. They got Keith Reeser, who's pretty good in the AAF. Not going to cut it. Traymon Smith, the 6th-round pick in 2018. He's more of a special teams guy right now. Not going to cut it. But a guy like DeAndre Baker, he is pro-ready. Maybe as pro-ready as maybe Greedy Williams is. And I think he's cornerback 2 on this roster all damn day. So getting a starter at a position of need, that's an upgrade at pick 29. Late in the first, you can't ask for much more if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Moving into the second round, where they have 2 second-round picks. First up at 61, Island selecting Elton Jenkins, offensive lineman from Mississippi State. I think looking at the roster right now, he is the starting center on the roster, with former starter Mitch Morse heading to Buffalo. I think he went to the Bills in free agency. But a guy like Elton Jenkins, I think he's a very well-rounded player in pass protection and in run blocking. He's fairly well versed. I think he's a solid pick in the second round. He also has versatility. He can play guard. He can play tackle. So, I mean, if things don't work out at center, you still got a lot of flexibility there. I think they also could look at improving one of the guard spots. They have Cam Irving here, who's really struggled to find that form that had him as a really, really highly regarded offensive lineman coming out of Florida State. So, again, more flexibility, the better for Elton Jenkins, but I think right now he is a starting center. And when you're in the second round, you're still getting guys that could start on your offensive line, guys that could start right away as rookies. You got to be applauded for being able to find that value. Going to their second round pick at 63, I'm selecting DeAndre Walker, outside linebacker from Georgia. He is a high-level run defender, and I actually just found when I was kind of typing my notes up for this video that a consensus pro comparison for DeAndre Walker is D Ford, and they just, traded D Ford to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not gonna lie, can't remember what the hell they got for D Ford in that trade, but okay, sure, it's probably one of these picks. Maybe it's one of these second-round picks. That kind of makes sense. Maybe it's this pick. How convenient would that be if I didn't actually do the research, since this is actually the pick they got from the 49ers? Either way, lots of upside here for DeAndre Walker, and big-time question marks, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs at outside linebacker. You traded for Ogba from the Cleveland Browns, and, you're trying to get him to play in a new scheme. He's a 4-3 end. Now you're going to hopefully be able to develop it and transition him to a 3-4 outside linebacker. You got Breeland Speaks, who's still coming along as a young player in the league. So there's still lots of question marks here. And a guy like DeAndre Walker could come in, earn that starting spot day one. And again, you'd be getting 3 starters in a row to start off this draft here for the Kansas City Chiefs. Going into the third round at pick 92, I'm selecting Justice Hill, running back from Oklahoma State. He is an elite athlete, a 4.40, 40-inch vertical at the combine, a very elusive runner, can catch out the backfield, underrated because he's a little bit undersized. He's like 5'10", 190. He can pass pro. I mean, I watched a little bit of tape on him, and he's feisty in pass protection. He will get in there, and he's a willing and able blocker, which is, kind of maybe the first hurdle when it becomes a young running back, an undersized running back, a speedster running back. They don't even want to think about blocking. He is not in that mentality at all. I think when you have some question marks about the future of Tyreek Hill, a guy like Justice Hill can come in, and he's one of those guys that could fill in on those gadget plays, those gimmicky plays that the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid tried to do and use to get Tyreek Hill into open space and get to mismatches. A guy like Justice Hill could fill in that void, And if you're under the assumption that everything is going to work out in the end for Tyreek Hill, having that amount of speed on the field at one time between Justice Hill and Tyreek Hill, the Hill tandem, two Hills. I don't know. There's probably a catchy nickname in there somewhere that I can't think of. It's too damn early in the morning. It's just a lot of playmaking ability that the Kansas City Chiefs have. And ultimately, when you look at their backfield, you got Damian Williams. He's all right. He's a guy that probably will be the assumed starter. You brought in Carlos Hyde as a veteran, but I mean, a guy like Justice Hill has that upside to eventually earn himself to be the top member of that running back by committee. So again, really nice value pickup here for the Kansas City Chiefs in the 3rd round. Moving into the 5th round at pick 167, I'm selecting John Kaminsky, linebacker from Charleston. He had a really good combine at 4'6'9", 40, 22 reps on the bench press. He's 6'5", almost 290. Converted quarterback, obviously from a small school, so you gotta take a slow approach to him, but he has really good production for a guy that is not a natural defensive end outside linebacker. In the last 2 years at Charleston, 39 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks. I think ultimately, to pair this with the DeAndre Walker pick in the 2nd round, Kansas City needs to build some depth at outside linebacker, and a guy like Kaminsky could be an eventual starter year 2, year 3 down the road. I mean, they're taking a long-term approach here with Tano Passignon, the 2nd round pick in 2017. Is he ever going to develop? Again, I think there's a big question mark about Ogba, if he's going to be able to transition and develop as a 3-4 outside linebacker. So there's a legitimate shot that, Breeland Speaks, the 2nd round pick last year, is their only guy that has some future at that position right now on the roster. So getting 2 picks, DeAndre Walker and John Kaminsky here in this draft, will definitely help out the depth at that position. I think long-term gives you a lot of upside. And a guy like Kaminsky's not going to need to rush right away, have him more so as a rotational spot, but he could be the guy that takes over Passignon as that developmental player. Because I think, Passignon is pretty much at the end of the line there in terms of, is he ever going to pan out, or is it going to be one of those players that we just need to cut? Maybe he'll be better and be a better fit in a 4-3 scheme as a 4-3 defensive end. So a guy like Kaminsky could fill in that void as the developmental rotational edge rusher on the Chiefs roster. Going into the 6th round, where they have 2 6th-round picks. First up at 201, I was selecting Deshaun Davis, linebacker from Auburn. A high IQ linebacker with big production last season in the SEC, 112 tackles, 15 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, and much needed inside linebacker depth to the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, you got Anthony Hitchens and Reggie Ragland. Beyond that, not a whole lot. Dorian O'Daniel's a nice cover linebacker, can bring him in on certain pass sets. But other than that, they still got 3 linebackers that I think right now Deshaun Davis in the 6th round is better than Terrence Smith, Ben Neiman, and Martrell Spate. Yeah, give me Deshaun Davis for sure over them. And I think in the 6th round, when you're grabbing a guy that can be your inside linebacker for special teams, good complement to your other depth linebacker in Dorian O'Daniel. Daniel could be the cover guy, whereas Deshaun Davis is more your old school, big time, stay in the box hitter, just mess running backs up or mess tight ends that are trying to cut across the middle up. There's a place for him still in today's NFL. And I think if this was, 10 years from now, 15 years earlier, a guy like Deshaun Davis, his style would have been, he wouldn't be there in the 6th round. He'd be like a 3rd or 4th round pick. But in today's climate, it is what it is. You want more the athletic cover guys, but still a place in the league for a player of Deshaun Davis's mentality, an old school era, and, adds more depth to the Kansas City Chiefs linebacking core. Going to their 2nd 6th round pick at 214, I was selecting Lucas Dennis, defensive back from Boston College. I think he comes in as a safety nickel hybrid. Looking at this from the Chiefs standpoint, they're probably going to bring him in to be the depth safety, free safety behind Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. He's, an average athlete, which is what's having him slip, but he's had pretty good production at a high level here for Boston College. The last 2 years, 130 tackles, 9 interceptions, and 12 pass breakups. He brings special teams ability right away. And I think ultimately, a high IQ player was able to use his football knowledge to be in the right spots where his athleticism might have let him down just a little bit. But I think ultimately you need some free safety depth, because right now, looking at the roster, you have Leon McQuay and Deontay Johnson, according to this, as your current free safety depth. And even at strong safety, I mean, just in safety in general, you have Honey Badger, and then it's pretty much wide open from there. So I think you're bringing in a guy like Dennis, who maybe before the college football season started was a day 2 pick, slipped a little bit because he did not test the greatest, had a slightly down year for Boston College. You might be getting a nice little value pickup here, whereas teams are getting guys in the 6th round to be special teamers or maybe practice squad guys. Guy like Lucas Dennis could emerge on the Kansas City Chiefs as a valuable rotational player as a rookie, get a lot of snaps. Then finish out the draft in the 7th round, I picked 216. I was selecting Drew Forbes, offensive lineman from Southeast Missouri State. 4-year starter, regarded as the best FCS offensive line prospect in the draft. I'm just more so reporting this. I haven't seen anything of this guy, but Kansas City Chiefs have been known to kind of think outside the box when it comes to their offensive linemen. Look at Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, 6th-round pick in 2014 from up here in Canada. They will go high and low to find the best offensive lineman available. And I think a guy like Drew Forbes, when you regard as the best FCS offensive line prospect, you're going to get drafted. He brings guard and tackle flexibility, which is always a bonus, because a guy like this is going to be drafted to, if he can make the roster, he will be like the 6th offensive lineman, the guy that can swing around and fill in if there is an injury. And flexibility is the key if you're going to be the said 6th offensive lineman on a roster. So just throwing a flyer here out in the 7th round to get one of the best offensive linemen in the FCS. As a reporter, that's just what the reports say. And some people have him going as high as the 5th round. But for me, I'm not going to take a swing as a 5th round prospect for a guy that I don't know barely anything about. I'm going to more so pencil him in here at the 7th round for a team that has in the past drafted obscure school offensive linemen. So there you go, guys. That is the 7th-round mock draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chief fans in particular, let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with this mock draft. As always, if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.